What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Welcome to the morning bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Coming off a nice winning night, and a lot didn't go our way. I really think that's the sign that you're seeing the board clearly. I lost a game with an error in the fifth inning, a first five bet. I lost a game in extras with the Orioles, a plus money with an error in extras. I lost a triple up in WNBA, and I ended up in the black overall, up 3.2 units. So this is the first morning, June 25th. Took 93 days. 93 days, 780 bets, and I'm in the black. It goes to show that if you just keep doing the work, believing in your cap, in your ability to cap, and just keep doing the work, it's all about the work. Good things will happen. So it's pretty exciting here. But now we climb. First time getting to put a plus sign beside my units on the entire MLB season is insane. Shout out to all the cappers joining us. Feeling good. Yesterday, we went 10-6 in MLB, despite those two losses late. Cleveland, Chicago White Sox under 8.5 cashed. We pushed Athletics first 3 and pushed Athletics first 5. Cashed Miami, Texas first 3 under 2, plus 104. Cashed the full game under 7.5, minus 115. Lost Boston, Colorado, first 3 under 3.5. That was heavily juiced. Lost, cashed the Pirates first 5. Shout out to Brian Wu. He's got to become our favorite pitcher in Major League Baseball, the most predictable pitcher in Major League Baseball. Got to start just, buying his jerseys. Nationals first 5 plus a half. Too bad. That sucked. Orioles first 5 cashed. Orioles full game lost. Game 1 Mets first 5 pushed. Royals first 5 plus a half lost. Kansas City Tampa Bay first 3 under 2 lost. Kansas City Tampa Bay full game under 8 pushed. Yankees plus 118 cash. That was a fun cap. Reds plus 117 lost. And then we finished with 4 winners. Diamondbacks first 5. It was a really fun cap. Padres money line. Athletics San Francisco first 3 under 2.5, and Athletics San Francisco full game under 8.5. Lose a triple up with the Lynx. First quarter, first half full game, but sweep everything else. Sky minus 2.5 cash. Mercury plus 8.5 cash. Valkyries plus 2.5 cash. So I love what we're doing here. Working together as a squad and beating the books. Now, you're not what you are over yesterday or over the last month. You're what your season says you are. So I've still got a lot of work to do, but we're finally in the black, baby. Johnny Bender in the house. Justin McKelvey, stacks play day 1 and 2 are in. Schmidt and Seattle Storm plus 12.5 here. And shout out to Stacks cashing the Langford over 1.5 bases prop in a game where we all cashed and everything. It was great work. And I'm right with him on the Seattle Storm plus 12.5. Right with him. And speaking of that, our guy Toby Lane, big balls, he's on Seattle Storm money line as his play of the day. Massive. Nicholas Handy on the Tigers money line. Got that copied and pasted. Thank you for sharing that with us, Nicholas. We have Billy Friedrich in the house. Top set ready to get to work. Billy Friedrich, Pig Milk play today. NHL draft prop. Xavier Villeneuve under 31.5 draft position plus 108 at bookmaker. There's the nuke worker in the house. He no ball. BT DeJuan Turrentine ready to get to work. Great to see all of you guys here. Spooner in the house. Wine Time Sports. Dougie Wise. Free bands play today is the Yankees minus 154. Let's get that copied and pasted here. Oh, sorry. Wrong worksheet. Here we go. Right under Pig Milk. Let's get Dougie Wise free bands. Dougie Wise running so hot right now. It feels like as a group, we are running very, very well right now. Troy Torrance ready to go. Top set SGP here. Got a couple different spots for him. Let's get this all copied and pasted. And keep an eye on what Elio does. Top set, just a great capper. Phenomenal poker player. Great capper. But the non-correlated SGPs are what he succeeds with so frequently. And keep an eye on all that. Colin Gregory, the truth teller. Troy Torrance, Walla Dose. Great to see all of you guys. So let's get right to work. We got locked and loaded here. Wake and eggs and steak. Ken Mizrahi ready to go. Luis Chavez in the house. Great to see all of you guys. And the Gamma Ray play today is the Bombers' first half. God, it's an interesting spot, man. I can't wait to talk about that game. at the end of our program here. I still want unders. It's gone up still now to 56. I have this sickness for these totals are just skyrocketing. The most alarming totals I've ever seen in my time. 46. We have our highest totals in the history of the sport. It's just insane. Absolutely insane. Nasty Nate says, waiting on my train in New York City. Need to get all his bets in right now. So we'll get to work. Von Polo, whatever is best for your life. Whatever is best for your life. I know you got a great family that you support. So if gambling on sports is not the answer for you, it's all what's best for your life. And if it's not right, you also can take a break. But whatever is best for you, man, we just want to roll with you. I mean, you could come down to Pubblepalooza next year just to hang, man, just to party. Turnbuckle Tommy in the house, Fireside ready to go, and Warbucks ready to go. Says everyone on the Phillies. I certainly am not. I'm sorry, God, I don't care. If the lefty is Sandy Koufax. If you're going up against the Nats, I think there's value on the Nats. But let's roll. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Let's get right to work. Shout out to Swiggy on the ones and twos, taking care of everything behind the scenes. We start at 12:10 p.m. Eastern. This game popping off in 2 hours and 2 minutes. I have action on most of the games here on the card. Kansas City Royals 34 and 46, 15 and 24 on the road. Tampa Bay Rays 43 and 33, 26 and 12 at home. We're at the Trop, St. Petersburg, Florida. We have Mr. Seth Lugo on the hill, 3 and 4, 3.69 ERA, 1.35 WHIP. He's got a 5.21 expected ERA. And we see his home and road split. See him on 6 days rest here. And the thing for Lugo for me, and this is something that I talked about last night. Look, we don't want our pitchers to take line drives off their head. And he did that and left the start early Wednesday, June 10th. It was a concussion. He said that he was, okay, he was going to be fine, and he was. And there was 9 days in between starts. For an older pitcher, I kind of like the fact that he got a bit of a break. Obviously, that's not the way you want breaks. You want to choose to take a break. You don't want to take a 100-mile-an-hour comebacker off the dome. But he looked very good in his next start, June 19th. And despite his expected ERA being very, very high, I believe in him. I believe in him. TJ says Kansas City first 5+ a half. Again, that is my action as well here, is Kansas City first 5+ a half. Let's talk about the opener, Casey Legumina. He was DFA'd by the Mariners in mid-April, and of course, Tampa Bay Rays, sprinkle their magical fairy dust on the man. When he was DFA'd by the Mariners, 4.63 ERA, 1.54 WHIP. They only gave him 11 2/3 to work with. This journeyman being around since he's 29 years old. He's kicked around the league, kicked around the minor league systems. Kicked around. He's all of a sudden come to the Rays and been delivering 2.75 ERA, 1.22 WHIP. I don't know how much I believe it, but it's happening. Then we have Ian Seymour as the primary. Ian Seymour is being stretched out more and more. The Royals bullpen is a problem. It's a problem. And the Tampa Bay Rays bullpen hasn't been playing very well, despite whenever it's a bullpen day, they seem to step up and deliver enormously. And then we got MMA Locker Room in the house. Great to see you, MMA Locker Room, my man. So let's go into the sticks. This is where the Royals have been at a disadvantage all season long, but now they're hitting. You see what they're doing against righties, hitting against righties. They're destroying lefties. So they'll see Legumina for, an inning, maybe two, and then they'll get their bulk of their work against Ian Seymour, the lefty, and they're hitting 292 with a 781 OPS over the last 30 days versus lefties. They're absolutely, absolutely rolling. So the Rays versus righties, they're hitting. They don't have a ton of power versus righties. They've stepped up a little bit over the last little while. Jose Perez liking the full game under in this one. And Spooner saying, Yordan Alvarez over for a walk is available at Score and DraftKings. Let me copy and paste that, Spooner, for our Astros breakdown. That Astros game is so interesting. All these games are. But that one is exceedingly interesting. I think I know what I want to do now, I think. But man, that one is I had a bet queued up, completely queued up, ready to send in, and was like, I don't think so. But here we go. Let's take a look at the line history here for our first spot on the board. There's been 7 cents of movement towards Seth Lugo. This one's gone from plus 131 to plus 124. Now, there was a move. There was no immediate move here, but there was a 9-cent move towards the Royals about 3 hours after this line came out. Let's take a look at the total. Here we hear Jose Perez liking the under on this spot. For this total, taking a second to load for some reason, which is annoying. Well, while that is loading, let's talk about the price difference for first 5 and full game, because like TJ, and TJ and I haven't spoken on this, but just like TJ, I'm going to move off of this. This is let me open up a new site here for my line shopping. That's just going to drive me crazy. Okay. Okay, here we go. New site. Let's pull up the odds here. And this is, of course, you guys know I am more interested in what the offshores are doing. Here, oh God, sorry. Here we go. Sorry about all of this. Move over to totals. And here we go. Okay, so for my total side point, we've had no movement. Interesting, no movement at all. I thought this had gone over towards the over, and it had. There was 15 cents of movement from the opening line until about midnight. And then this morning it moved to an 8.5. When it first moved to 8.5, 7:30 a.m., there was even a 3-cent move towards the over, and this was a flat pick'em. And then an hour and 30 minutes later, a big move towards the under. A big move towards the under. Interesting. Top set says I need plus money this game. I correlate the Kansas City at plus 1.5 first 5 without getting to the bullpen. Team total under 4.5 gives me plus 145. Says I need to get to the number that he wants. So let's take a look at this price difference first 5 in full game. We have the full game Royals right now at plus 125 over at Penny. And then first 5, they're plus 113. Look, I like it. I like it. I really do like it. I have a belief here in Seth Lugo. And yes, the magical fairy dust is being sprinkled all over the 29-year-old pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays, who is their opener. I imagine Seymour will be fine. But I think that I have an advantage against Casey Legumina and Ian Seymour with Seth Lugo, despite this being a road start. If we go back to his last road start, his last road start was against the Twins and he got touched up by them, but the Twins are dominating everybody. I mean, they got to Ohtani. The start before that was at the Rangers. He allows 1 earned run over 6 innings. Start before that on the road was at the White Sox. They got to him. Their sticks are pretty tough. But again, and then 2 earned runs over 6 innings again versus the Mariners. When I go over all of this, I think that right now, because of that comebacker to the dome of Lugo, that we have a pretty fresh arm out there. So I understand adding the under. I do. And said Miller today and Castillo tomorrow, but all starters for Seattle will piggyback at least once coming up before the All-Star break. And he says, how long will they let Miller go today through just 66 last game? Thank you for that. So at least it's not Castillo, right in the back here because the start before that, right? Miller went 8 innings, but that's great stuff. Sharpie, thank you for sharing that with me. But Kansas City first 5 plus a half. I'm lockstep with TJ. I'm not going to add an under or anything like that. I feel like this is an advantageous spot for me. Let's roll on to game 2, but that's how I get my card started. Royals first 5 plus a half. Let's talk about Bryce Miller. Perfect timing from our man Sharpie. And check out Sharpie's show as well. The Balking Dead. This guy is the pitch whisperer, and his big black book is phenomenal. So support the Odds Bunch YouTube channel. We start in PNC Park here. Let's roll Ballpark Pal PNC Park, and we have plus 2% runs, minus 10% homers, plus 11% doubles and triples, and plus 1% singles. We have Bryce Miller on the hill. And of course, didn't see him through the first quarter of the year with the oblique strain. He looked terrible last year, dealing with elbow troubles throughout the season. And this year, he looks absolutely spectacular. Absolutely incredible. this guy, what can we say? He's not allowed more than 2 earned runs in any start, whether it's a start or a primary situation. Despite being on these pitch counts, he has never gone less than 5 innings. He's gone up to 8 innings in that win at the Nationals. This guy just continues to deliver over and over and over again. Whether it's home or road, he's just pitching at an extremely high level. Let's talk about Bubba Chandler on the other side. Bubba Chandler, 2-7, 4.62 ERA, 1.38 WHIPs, got a 4.18 expected ERA. I discussed with you guys when I thought Bubba Chandler just didn't look right. And it appears that he's turned the corner. Between May 16th and June 2nd, he had 4 starts. In 3 of those starts, he allowed 4 earned runs in each. And I don't know why that went up. And he did not ever get an out in the 6th inning. In fact, that first start of that stanza, he only went 3 innings. He's just not looked very, very good. But I feel like he has turned the corner over his last 3 starts. He went just 5 1/3, but it was a 3-2 loss at the Braves. 2 earned runs allowed. He only allowed 1 hit, struck out 7 and walked 2. Then he came home and faced the Marlins, went 5 2/3, allowed 2 earned runs. Again, just walked 1 batter. And then last start was in the thin air of Colorado. 2 earned runs over 6 innings is pretty impressive to me. When we get to the bullpens, the Pirates bullpen can't be trusted. And that's why initially I wanted the Mariners last night. And I moved before our nightly bag show. And it was deciding between the first 5 minus a half or the full game. And at that time, I didn't need to move on the full game money line. And I probably could have. Now, again, I talked to you guys. I didn't want to have a minus 138 on the full game and a minus 140 on the first 5 money line. I mean, that's just too much vig for me. But I said to you guys, if we woke up and we saw a big move, towards the Mariners, that I would be very interested in adding the Mariners' first 5. And let's get to the cash flow as well. I don't have that up right now, so let's get that up as well so we can discuss, if there's any Padre-type sharp action. For that first game that we spoke of, 79% of the tickets, 86% of cash on Tampa, 64% of tickets on the under, 91% of cash on the over. Interesting cash flow situation here. For back to this spot here, we see the Pirates have been raking against righties, and the Mariners have not. That's pretty factual, but I do think that the Mariners are better than what their last 10 games have, with their last 10 games, better than their last 10 game statistical profile. Mariners versus righties, 248, 748 OPS. Pirates versus righties, 268, 811 OPS. So when we get to the cash flow here and the line history, let's start with the line history. That's probably more prudent here. So when we get to this, we have a 5-cent move to the over. 8.5 minus 105 is now 8.5 minus 110. And then on the money line, why is God annoying? This is going to just drive me nuts. While that is loading, let's take the cash flow. 70% of the tickets are on the Seattle Mariners. 83% of the cash, though, is on Pittsburgh. That's a lot of money to have on Pittsburgh. We were going up against situations like that. Yes, for this huge run we've been on. We've been going up against these spots where perceived big bets are on the other side. And it's not stopped us or, slowed us down whatsoever. We've been attacking. So the Mariners minus 147 right now, opened up at minus 120. So I got in at minus 138. This was just one-way traffic towards the Seattle Mariners. Hino Ball says, Bubba Chandler Day, bring the gloves, kiddo. And TJ says money on Pittsburgh is shocking to him. But let's go to this, what shocked me this morning when I decided to double up. We have the Mariners at minus 143 full game. So that's even moved 3 cents. Or it's actually 5 cents in about 3 hours here at Penny. And first 5, they're minus 158. This just keeps moving. It just keeps moving. So I am in here. I moved on this spot. I don't know why this is. I got to pull up the morning bag. I guess that's where I had it all. I moved on the Mariners first 5 minus half at plus 100. Plus 100 was available at Bet Online. That to me was a very, very appealing situation to get the first 5 minus a half with no vig whatsoever. So I have doubled up on the Seattle Mariners. Full game minus 138. And then I have them first 5 minus a half at plus 100. And this run we've had, now there have been a few bets that we have made that are just simply market related, and they've all been cashing. And we talked heavily about, last night, we talked heavily on the nightly bag about how when a line is moving towards an underdog and the public is all over the favorite, that unders must be bet if you believe in the pitcher on the favorite, because they're telling you that this pitcher with elevated statistical profile is going to deliver for the dog. And I should have cashed unders in the Padres game. And there's another game that I should have cashed unders on that I didn't. But we figured that out in the Tyler Mahle start. We figured that out in the Giants Ace. Well, this line's moving towards the Giants, and we love gauge jump. So it must mean one thing. Mahle's going to shove. That was so easy to put together. We must continue to be putting that together. Justin McKelvey rally over 1.5 bases at plus 100 in his pocket. And Millsy is on Julio Rodriguez over 1.5 bases. Light cheese in the house, always making moves, looking at the Seattle money line. Goon Collector, Pittsburgh team total over 2. Fireside joining us on the Mariners. And that is in business. Let's roll on. That is game 2 on today's card. We are 3 bets in. Next spot up. Oh, here we go. Next spot for us here, game 3 on the board. We head to Oracle Park, home of the San Francisco Giants. And we have minus 4% runs, minus 20% homers, plus 3% doubles and triples, and plus 8% singles. Those numbers have dropped slightly, very slightly since last night. And Billy, yeah, that was a terrible beat, man. It was a terrible beat. Spooner took the wrong side of that too. I hated seeing that happen. But let's get to work here. Athletics Giants. We're at Oracle Park in San Francisco, California. We have Jeffrey Springs, who's been getting annihilated, absolutely annihilated. But he's been pitching in very difficult situations. The last start, June 19th, 3 2/3. He allowed 6 earned runs at home in Sacramento in very offensive weather against the Angels. Ugly start. Start before that was in Summerlin. Remember the home run was like plus 120%. And he got touched up for 6 earned runs over 4 innings. The start before that was at home in Sacramento. Very offensive weather against the Brewers. Allowed 5 earned runs in 5 innings. We talk often, the thoroughbred cappers amongst us, that you create excuses for horses. You've been giving them an excuse for that race. If you can put a line through it, and everybody else capping that race is going to be focused on this horrible race that the horse just had, then I believe you have an advantage. I'm not trying to do that here. All I'm saying is that this is a much better environment for Springs to pitch well in, but he's been trash. And like Chris is saying, somewhat distorted numbers with Springs. That's absolutely right. Now let's talk about the San Francisco Giants. And when we come to the San Francisco Giants, let's shout out our guy, Justin McKelvey. Justin McKelvey here. Stacks play day number 1. Schmidt over 1.5 bases at plus 120. It felt like the Lufthansa casher in what was not Wise Guys. What the hell? I'm sorry. I'm just lacking sleep. The Lufthansa bus. But I was in the shower when Langford hit the homer. And Langford hit the homer. I was like, yeah, Justin, let's go. Let's go. TJ said San Francisco money line to the bank. So Springs looks vulnerable. This is much better weather for him. Let's move over to Landon Roop. I'm a guy who believes in Landon Roop. Shout out to JT and Markel joining us. 4.15 ERA, 1.29 whips, got 3.28 expected ERA. He's the reason why Kyle Harrison was expendable. He beat Kyle Henderson in 2025 out of spring training, and he's been continuing to roll here. Nut Flush Allen says, I love the over here. And Topset said, fade DAs on the road, autoplay for him. Now, let's talk about Landon Roop. As much as I like what he has been doing, there is an elephant in the room, and that's the fact that the Giants have lost his last 9 starts. 9. I mean, that is an alarming number, but he's not being bad. That last start 4-3 loss at the Marlins, 2 earned runs over 6 innings. He went back-to-back against the Cubs. That's a tough lineup to see back-to-back. Shout out to Midwest Margins. We've got Lucas Ryan in the house. He faced the Brewers in Milwaukee. That's when he got absolutely annihilated. He shut down the Cubs the first time he saw them at Wrigley, and then he got touched up by them in Oracle against Assad, which was a surprise to me. Bullpen-wise, both these bullpens have been very bad, but, and this is a pretty big but, when you look at the graphics, you see the Giants bullpen's been much better over the last 10 days. I focus on Giants bullpen, 5.87 ERA, 1.65 whip over the last 30. A's bullpen's been bad, 5.89 ERA, 1.47 whip. When it came down to this for me, where did I believe I had the advantage? Well, there's several spots where you could say I have an advantage here or a disadvantage here, but for me, it was the Giants versus lefties. The Giants have been raking lefties. Giants are hitting 276 with an 823 OPS last 30 days versus lefties. And the Athletics hit lefties very hard, not righties, and that's who they're facing today. So when we get to where I thought we had the advantage, I think it's when it's Springs versus Roop and the Giants line up against the left-handed batter. So for me, all I did was move on the San Francisco Giants first 5 minus a half. But I said to you guys that this was similar to the Mariners spot where I would be open to adding a full game if the market kind of pushed us in that direction. Not Flush Allen looking at that total. Let's go through that line history. But I got the first 5 minus a half at plus 101. A no vig situation. When we look at the price difference here for the San Francisco Giants full game to first 5, full game they're minus 128, and first 5 they're minus 137. Now that's a 9-cent difference, which isn't as big when there's a more vig situation on first 5. So when we do that, we have the Athletics full game plus 119 and first 5 plus 119. So it's not really like there's a big advantage there. When we get to the line history, we'll start with the money line. This money line's at minus 128. So while I said that I was pushed by the market to add to my Mariners action, I don't believe that's happening here. So I'm just going to stick with my first 5 minus a half, and that will be my only action unless we should heed the advice of the San Francisco Giants whisperer, Nut Flush Allen. Now, again, I don't know why this site is being such a bitch. But while that's coming up, let's take a look at what this total would be here over at Penny. And we also could do line shopping here at Circa for the total. So for this Giants A's total, and I think a lot of us remember the 1989 World Series earthquake. I remember exactly where I was. I was sitting beside my sister watching the game, and pretty memorable. This total opened up over 8.5 minus 120 to the over. And then 12 hours later, they made a 20-cent move towards the under, despite 59% of the tickets and 83% of the cash being on that over. Finally came up. Okay, so that's where we stand. Billy Friedrich says this is a dead under. Says Athletics on the road is straight unders here. And so we've seen that 20-cent move at Circa. I am going to just stick with my move here. That 20-cent move does make me a little nervous. And I just refresh this, see if this will work now for a total. And it will. Okay, here we go. For offshore totals, it's a different story than what Circa's telling us. Offshore totals, this one opened up 8.5 minus 125 to the over. That under 8.5 was plus 105. Oh, no, it's not. I take that back because this has now moved to an 8. So this has moved towards the under as well. Ty Clinton in the house. Great to see you. We got Robert Cherry ready to get to work. I'll copy and paste that. And I'm in business. And TJ says, yeah, top set. We have to treat the A's like the Rockies, dead last on the road offensively. Yeah, I mean, we talked about, they had those numbers that 900 whatever OPS versus lefties. And we said it was fool's gold. And that's been working very well for us. For those of you watching the show right now, I'm telling you guys, this week and next week, we have to absolutely attack the MLB car with vigor and determination because things are going to get trickier a week before the All-Star break, a week after the All-Star break, and then things will settle down again. But then college football comes in and other things come in as well. So for me, Giants first 5 minus a half at plus 101. And also keep in mind that remember that Nut Flush is on this over because line moves going against them have never put a damper on his bankroll. There's Nordy in the house. Just got back from Vancouver, watched New Zealand, Egypt. I heard that game was incredible to watch. I heard the Egyptian fans were wild. That it was just like such a wild atmosphere. I'd love to hear all about that, Nordy. And then Billy Friedrich, final thoughts. Last 10 games for these teams combined are 14-6 to the under. Athletics on the road and Giants at home. Okay, let's roll on. So we've made moves on every game thus far, and now we get to a game that has been really difficult. 6:40 p.m. Eastern with the Houston Astros at the Detroit Tigers. We're at Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan. A ballpark I miss so much. I miss it so much. If they would just let kids swim in the pool at Caesar's Palace in Windsor, we would be there all the time. I got to figure out some other way, but God, we need pools when we go on trips with the kids, man. Plus 4% runs, plus 5% homers, plus 3% doubles and triples is Comerica Park. This is such a fascinating baseball game here. We got a great note from Spooner. Said Yordan Alvarez over a half walk is available at Score and DraftKings at minus 110. Says this should be priced at minus 155. A lot of books aren't offering it. Melton has 9 walks this year, all to lefties. He will be pitched around here. Nasty Nate says what is the best bet on the card? God, I would like to text you that, but I guess you can't. Do you need to be in your state before you can't make the bet in New York? Unk Rock in the house. I guess the most appealing bet right now, I think the bet I like the most at this point is the Royals first 5 plus a half, minus 125. And then second would be the Mariners first 5 minus a half. Oh, it's Rocky Manichetti. Oh, man, Rocky, my bad. Rocky, I missed you, buddy. Oh, Rocky. Oh, man. This guy, OG low bagger from when I started, had my back out of Cali. Rocky Manichetti, man, great to see you, buddy. Puts a big smile on my face. Okay, so let's get back to work here with the Astros spot. Now, this is a bet that I've had queued up. Okay, well, but those are the 2 spots for me here. Goon Collector says this is a horrible spot for the Astros. Leaving Toronto, going to Detroit. Detroit stayed at home, playing good competition. Look, I agree. But that wasn't it for me. That wasn't it, Goon. It was, Spooner was breaking down the bullpen. And the bullpen for the Astros is exhausted. And he was telling us about that yesterday. Now, if we are talking about a bet that's just market related, and keep these pictures up, Swiggy, I'll get to them really fast. And I've got the bullpen usage up. So why don't we start with the starters here? This market is moving briskly towards the Astros. And, I imagine the cash is on the other side. We'll take a look at all that. But for me, in a situation like this, under no circumstances can I bet the Tigers. Can't do it. Not with this market. And, I should just take a look at the cash flow just for my own conviction here. I really wanted to know. So we have 61% of the tickets and 88% of the cash on the Detroit Tigers. And this line's just been moving towards the Astros. And that had it queued up for me. I had it queued up to bet. And I was literally inches away from pressing the button and I got cold feet going over the bullpen usage and thinking about what Spooner was saying last night. 66% of tickets on the under and 88% of cash on the over. TV Jones says Astros or pass. Market-wise, it has to be that way, but Troy Torrance says market history says Tigers all the way. So let's talk about Tetsuya Amai. 6.15 ERA, 1.44 whips. Got a 4.45 expected ERA. Same, he was on Saibu last year in the Japanese League, and he's had trouble getting comfortable in the States. They gave him a whole month off because he couldn't find the strike zone in his first 3 spots, and that was never an issue for him. I remember walking into a really dope bar in San Antonio with Spoons and the boys, Dabby Cab, Dutch Boy Fresh, Jeff Slaughter, Swiggy, Jose, and his start was on TV, and we were all excited to watch him, and he got lit up and smoked. So, he had a problem. He said the pitcher's mound was harder than he's used to. He said that he was having a problem with the pitch clock. He was making all these excuses. Then he came out and had another bad start, but then he got himself together. And I started, saying that we're ahead of the curve backing Tetsuya Amai. We got to trust Tetsuya Amai. Got to trust him. And then he goes 2/3 of an inning and allows 5 earned runs against Luinder Avila and made me look like an ass clown. But then he bounced right back and had the best start of his career in the next start. And we backed him at home versus the Guardians. 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 1 homer, 11 strikeouts and no walks. 11 strikeouts and no walks. So if we put a line through that 2/3 of a start, he's gone 11 innings. He's allowed 5 earned runs, which maybe isn't great, but he struck out 19. I think that he can get rolling here. Goon says fading the market, the Tigers must be bet. And Troy Torrance says counterintuitive, but big sample supporting Detroit. So, look, I don't want to fade Troy Melton. I do not want to fade Troy Melton under any circumstances. 2.56 ERA, 0.9195 whip, 3.81 expected ERA. He spent the first 2 months of the season on the shelf with that right elbow strain. So he comes back and looks dynamite. And then after that June 9th start, the start after that was June 15th, and he was a late scratch. He had said he felt abnormal. His back was hurting. So he gets 11 days off, and then he comes back and he shoves against the White Sox. Shoves. Spooner's on Tigers full game says, I think Melton deals. He struggles with lefties. He will pitch around Alvarez and get in the groove versus righties. Amai looks uncomfortable on the road and struggles with lefties, and Hader and King are on 3 of 4 here. 3 of 4. And Nutflush Allen talking about our friend Lily Gunn, who I will be seeing here in a few weeks when I'm in Vegas. It's just, she's such a bright light, such an important part of my history in this industry. And Tom Gunn, the great Tom Gunn, man. Wherever he is right now, he's capping the card with us. He was as wonderful of a person that I've met in my 9 years in the industry, and miss him very, very much, Mr. Tom Gunn. So back to business here. Melton looks great. These bullpens are pitching well, especially the Astros bullpen. The Tigers bullpen, 3.98 ERA, 1.26 whip, is pitching very well of late, moving in the right direction. Astros bullpen pitching very well as well. And these teams are hitting. Astros versus righties, 245, 755 OPS. Tigers versus righties, 237, 760 OPS. So let's get into, again, why am I succeeding? It's because of you guys. It's because of us working together as a team. It doesn't matter if the Astros cash this. But hearing Spoons in my head talking about this bullpen, which we will go over here in a second, this total is a 9. It's juiced to the under. It opened up at 8.5 and has moved to a 9. A half run move towards the over. From a money line standpoint, let's get this up here. Again, it's taking a second to load. This stuff just drives me absolutely nuts. Then we go into the bullpen usage, and this is what we're talking about. We have Okert and Hader off 3 of 4 and have pitched in back-to-back days. There's no way they can go. Abreu's hurt. So who does that leave? De Los Santos? King pitched yesterday. Nate Pearson? It's a pretty ugly situation for the Astros bullpen. Pretty ugly situation for the Astros bullpen. Let's get into the cash flow here. We have that 61% of tickets and 95% of the cash on the Tigers. 95% of the cash on the Tigers, and this line, just continues to move towards the Astros. Chase White says, I will stop listening to the show if you don't have a drink with me. Chase White, I stopped drinking during the week, man. So it's just coffee for me, man. And look, I just need to fucking win. And I will drink myself into a ditch on the weekend. But right now, I've got the nightly bag. Right when this show's over, I have to cap my fucking ass off on the Friday card. So, unfortunately, Chase White is just Vietnamese coffee with a hint of chicory. No booze. Let's get into the line history here on these offshores. That's what I care most about. And again, I just had to refresh it once more. So here we have Amaya at plus 101, opened up at plus 118. I mean, it's just been one-way traffic towards the Astros. So with I get to Vegas on Friday of All-Star break weekend. Goon says, put whiskey. I cannot. But Chase, why I'm ready to party with you in Vegas, man. Oh, in Vegas. Oh, Chase, it's 100%. Sorry. No, I think you meant in Vegas. Look, sorry, I thought you meant I had to start drinking right now. I started sweating. Let me just get this under Nuke Workers Gamma Ray play of the day. Here we got 9 Legacies action here. Of course, Chase White. We're in business, man. Okay, so here, this is what I think this all tells me. Mark, I am. With a hint of chicory. I think that if I want to move on this game, there's my man Guillermo Zertucci says, big race this weekend. Exciting. I can't believe a Barrio is 4-1. Sovereignty shouldn't be that big a favorite in my estimation. But here, if we think that Troy Melton's going to pitch really well again, and I am maybe the only one that believes in Tatsuya Amai, but certainly we have to say if this market is moving towards the Astros with their issues in the bullpen, it must mean that my guy, Tatsuya Amai, is going to pitch well here. It must mean that. It must. So let's take a look at the price of the first 3 under here in Astros Tigers. And let's guess. I haven't looked. It didn't really come to me until close to showtime. So we have a 9 minus 115 to the under. A 9 minus 115 to the under. And we talked about the crazy price of the Texas Rangers first 3 under and the Yankees first 3 under. We have an example here with the Diamondbacks Cardinals. We have very similar. It's the exact same line. So we can compare these two first 3 under. So this one, first 3 under, the full game is 9 minus 115. So it should be juiced to the over. The under 2.5 should be at the plus 100. Plus 100. So let's see. The first 3 under is minus 105. Okay. I find that appealing. Now let's compare it to that Diamondbacks Cardinals first 3 under, which is at the same amount or same total. And the Diamondbacks Cardinals first 3 under is plus 120 to the under. Yeah, that's it for me. Shout out to Ski Profit in the house. Great to see you, Ski. Razor Sharp Picks rocking with us too. Great to see both of you guys. And Nutflush said I'm almost on the first 3 under. Well, I'm going to push it. I'm going to push the button. So I'm going to be adding. This is my first edition, and I'm very comfortable with how this all played out. I spent a lot of time. I love these shorter cards Thursdays because you can really sit with these spots. So first 3 under 2.5 for me, and I will be betting this after the show, and that will be my only action on the card. All right, let's roll on. Next spot for us. This is the game, man. This game is so much fun. 6:45 p.m. Eastern. Philadelphia Phillies at Washington Nationals. Phillies 43-36, 20-17 on the road. Nationals 41-39, 17-23 at home. And we're at Nationals Park. We have plus 9% runs, plus 6% homers, plus 13% doubles and triples, and plus 4% singles. The great Christopher Sanchez on the hill here. 1.80 ERA, 1.09 whips, got a 2.96 expected ERA. He's been an absolute monster. We watched him try to catch Oral Hershiser's shutout record. It was the second longest shutout streak in Philadelphia Phillies history behind Grover Alexander. The guy was just unbelievable. And when he got touched up for a run, he'd faced the Padres a second time and got touched up for 1 run. Then he got touched up for 2 earned runs in a 5-2 win at the Blue Jays over 7 innings. Then he actually got touched up by the Brewers. Now, the Brewers hit lefties very hard, but they don't hit lefties as hard as the Nationals. Then we have June 20th, his last start at home versus the Mets. A beautiful start. Again, 1 earned run, 5 hits over 6 innings. Look, he is a monster. Going up against Cade Cavalli. And Cade Cavalli is being consistent, consistently mediocre, consistently average. Now, he's been better, as you can see, by these great graphics that our guy Swiggy has created. He's been better at home than he's been on the road. His last start was not very good. It was at Tampa, 2 2/3, 6 hits, 3 walks. He only allowed 2 earned runs. He's capable of limiting damage. Start before that, was at home versus the Mariners, 3 earned runs over 5 innings. If he allows 3 earned runs over 5 innings, I will lose my bet. But June 1st at home, he allowed 2 earned runs over 5 innings against the Marlins. And if he does that, I think I can cash this bet. Nutflush says, why is this total so high? And I will tell you why. First off, bullpen-wise, Nats bullpen is really bad. 5.18 ERA, 1.50 whip over the last 30. The Phillies bullpen, 3.94 ERA, 1.26 whip. But why this total is so high is because the Phillies hit righties okay, but the Nats destroy lefties. Now, I would have bet this last night, but I kind of wanted to see if this line was going to move towards Sanchez. And I believe at this point that even if Sandy Koufax was on the mound, we would be on the Nationals first 5 plus a half. I believe that. TJ says, don't bet a lot of run lines, but he is on Philadelphia -1.5. Let's take a look at what's going on with this money line. We've had a nice look at this buyback, baby. God, that feels good to see. I decided this morning that it was time to pull the trigger. I only seen a little bit of buyback at that point, but now we got buyback. Now we have a 1 cent move towards the Philadelphia Phillies. 1 cent move towards the Phillies. Oh, I love that buyback, baby. 87% of the tickets, 92% of the cash on the Phillies, and they've moved now 1 cent. This got up to -180 at 10:57 p.m. last night. Now it's back at -161. Oh, God, do I like to see that. Now over to the total. It is the total that's been not loading up for me here. God, it's so fucking annoying. Okay, so back to business here. Oh, let's see what Sharpie is saying. Sharpie says Sanchez is going 6 or 7 today, 2 earned runs or less. Phillies pen usage is out. The rough wide total's high, in my opinion. Washington hasn't seen many elite lefties, and when they have struggled. There we go. Justin McKelvey also on the Phillies -1.5 here. Top sets on the first 5 over in the full game over. Says he also expects the Nats to get to Sanchez. Bryce Harper RBI here +130 here for Justin McKelvey. And let's see, do we have this still loading? God, this is just being so annoying. The site here. Got the money line comes up right away, and then the total. We sit and wait. Okay, let's just use the circa line movement, even though let's use FanDuel because at least we know that FanDuel would have come out very, very early here on the spot. FanDuel has this at 8.5, and they open this up at 8.5, 6 cents of movement towards the over. So I got the Nationals first 5 plus a half here. I love this buyback. I don't love that, some of our best cappers are on the other side of me. I mean, that's not a comfort. But I got the Nats first 5 plus a half at +104. And right now, when we look at the price difference for the Phillies first 5 in full game, we have -160 first 5 and full game -163. That first, I only bet this like 2 hours ago, 2 or 3 hours ago. The first 5 plus a half I got +104. It's now -104. I love everything about this. Kyle Macedo is on the Phillies first 5 minus half -125. We have not seen one of us other than me right now. Oh, Nats team total for Nutflush Allen. And for Topset, Nats first 5 team total over. And we got the Gamblers first glance. It is Houston money line. Let's get that copied and pasted. Thank you for sharing that with us. We will celebrate that here at the end of the show for Razor Sharp picks. And that, the market is screaming that. But I love this spot. So solution also on the Nats, a team total over. And Turnbuckle Tommy on Houston first 5 plus a half as well. So, again, you find your angle. You decide whether you have the conviction to invest in it. then you deal with the consequences. So let's roll on. Let's roll on. Next spot for us here, we got more soccer action. Please put all the World Cup action in the chat here because we'll hammer it tomorrow morning with Jose. We have a chance to get Flash on tomorrow morning as well. It's just time is going to, and I don't want to. You don't want to rush the genius of Flash. Lex Steele on over 2.5 goals in Ecuador, Japan here. But let's roll. Next spot on the board here is in Toronto. And we talked about how this roof would be closed. This game is such a fascinating baseball game here. So first off, before I talk about what's crazy about this line movement, let's just move on to the pitchers here. We have Mackenzie Gore, the lefty, going up against Kevin Gossman. Kevin Gossman has been concerning me, but let's start with Gore first, the lefty. 4-6, 4.07 ERA, 1.30 WHIP, 4.08 expected ERA. He left to start in late May with tightness in his back, and he came back firing on all cylinders. He didn't miss a start. Looked very good for 2 starts. Then he got touched up for 4 runs at the Cardinals on June 3rd. June 10th, he had a nice start at the Royals. June 15th, he allowed 4 runs over 7 against the Twins. Twins are hitting hard. And then last start at home versus the Padres, he completely shut them down. Gossman, on the other hand, 4.04 ERA, 1.13 WHIP, 3.48 expected ERA. 3 of his last 4 starts have been bad. I assume that he's going to bounce back here. 7 earned runs over 2 innings. It's just his velocity just keeps dropping little by little, and it's a problem. Shout out to Just My 2 Cents in the house. DC Kappa ready to get to work. So, yes, he had that one great start at home versus the Yankees. And look, now he's coming back home. But start before that, he allowed 4 runs over 5 against the Orioles. Start before that, 4 runs over 6 at Atlanta. And Spooner said all the late rain disappeared from the forecast. I was hoping this roof would be shut for Gossman. We thought that it would be shut. It was raining here when the show started. Let's see if we still have. Oh man. Oh yeah, no, there's some light rain in the forecast late. So Turnbuckle Tommy said, I said it in game 1, Blue Jays last series, and I'll say it again. Fade the team coming to Toronto if they played the previous day with travel. Rangers had to fly from Florida with no rest. Blue Jays money line for Turnbuckle Tommy here. Chris Warren moving on a bunch of home run bets as well. Goldschmidt, Alvarez, Casey Schmidt, and PCA. And WY says the Blue Jays will smack Gore up. Well, they've shown me no ability to hit lefties whatsoever. But let's get into the bullpens. Bullpen for the Rangers, 4.56 ERA, 1.35 WHIP. They've looked really bad of late. They were looking so good through May. Jays bullpen, 3.88 ERA, 1.33 WHIP. When we get to the sticks, the Blue Jays aren't hitting lefties at all. 216, 659 OPS over their last 30 games. We have a superstar in Vladdy Guerrero who has 0 home runs and a 331 slugging percentage at home. So I don't think he's going to get touched up personally here. Fireside on the under 8. Ramel Davis says Houston is now taking money. Come on. That it's a pretty big line move towards him that hard not to recognize. I mean, I had it queued up just on the market alone. Okay, so Brad Summersell says the over looks great. Now, remember that the roof being closed does not help the over. But, okay, let's talk about this then. So we have – I guess I need to log in. We talked about the first 3 under, and we have the exact same line for the Yankees game and this game. We've talked about these discrepancies when we see them and how successful we've been betting into them. So again, we have the at bet 365 right now. We have Texas Toronto under 8 at minus 120, and we have Yankees Red Sox under 8 at minus 120. The first 3 here under for Texas Toronto is minus 125. Minus 125. The first 3 under for New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox is minus 155. 30 cents difference. 30 cents difference. Now, Troy Torrance says Gossman in the start following one where he allowed 5+ runs last 2 seasons, 28 innings pitched, 1 earned run. Look, I can't trust those numbers anymore just because of his velocity continuing to drop. The line moving towards the Jays did not make any sense to me. It didn't. Now, I can understand Turnbuckle Tommy's idea about the Rangers would travel, but this is a Blue Jays team that can't hit lefties. And you have Gossman on the mound who has been struggling. So Texas first 5+1/2 for TJ was exactly my plan, but I wanted to see what was going on here with this market, with this cash flow. Sharpie says with the amount of swing percentage and great chase contact of the Jays, it's the Diamondbacks all over again. He says, I expect a good start from Gore today, yet low strikeouts. So let's get into the line history here and the cash flow. The total has finally come up here on this one. Oh, that's annoying. By the way, the total offshore for that Philadelphia-Washington game opened up at 8, is now at 8.5, and juiced to the over offshore. Here we've had 10 cents of movement towards the under on the total. Very little movement here towards the under. On the money line, we've had this 13-cent move towards Gossman. It was more than that. It was 15 cents. We had 2 cents of buyback from -135 to -148. And I shouldn't say towards Gossman. I should say towards the Blue Jays. Sharpie says, if there was a lineup metric-wise for Gossman to have a day, it's today. The zone contact, chase contact of 6 of the 9 projected says the day is there. The market is telling us that this is going to be a low-scoring game, but not because of the starting pitching. So who is the vulnerable one? So when I was breaking down this game last night, I was saying, look, it is Gossman because of my own eye test. But AM said, why are you certain that it's Gossman who's vulnerable? And I just said, well, because the Jays don't hit lefties. And I've been watching Gossman just look vulnerable. But the market is telling us that Gore is the vulnerable one. Now, let's take a look at the difference in first 5 full game money line or money here. We have the Blue Jays are -144 full game. First 5, they're -149. So there's no difference. Rangers are +133 full game, and first 5 they're +129. So I agree. So let me just walk through how this all worked. Initially, I wanted the first 3 under in the full game under. The roof was announced open. I said it was going to be closed and that this was very appealing. Then we looked at the price for the first 3 under, and I was, we used the term gobsmacked. I was shocked. So then Topset said he's going to be on the Rangers first 5+1/2, and I was like, oh, that sounds like the best bet. But here, what we have to do is bet the first 5 over. Now, the roof is closed now, and it's not moving the total. I have to bet this first 5 over because -125 to an under on the first 3 is something that doesn't make sense. What I should possibly do is only bet the first 3. I'm not going to do that, though. I do think that second and third time through the lineup is when pitchers are most vulnerable. So I'm going to add the first 5 over 4 here. Topset is now cashing out of all his Texas bets. So he's not going to be on the first 5+1/2. TJ is going to be on it. I'm going to be on the first 5+1/2. And I'm going to be on the first 5 over. Again, we started flipping when we saw these prices on first 3s. And it's been working. So there it is. These are bets that I will be adding after the show. That was a fun cap, man. Let's roll on. 7:10 p.m. Eastern. The Chicago Cubs 42-37, 19-20 on the road at the New York Mets, 34-45, 18-20 at home at Citi Field in Queens, New York. Taking a look at Ballpark Pal, we have -1% runs, so it's not too bad at Citi Field. Plus 11% homers, which is really high for Citi Field. -14% doubles and triples, and -5% singles. So we roll on. We have here this is such an interesting game. And, the more I capped it, the more I kind of wanted to just stay off. Now, we saw the David Peterson trade. Spoons has been talking about his Cubbies and how much this bullpen is just this starting line rotation has been devastated by injuries. And he believes that Boyd is not ready yet. Boyd had 3 starts in the minors. So this is a meniscus injury. It's not an arm injury. He was injured earlier in the year with a left bicep strain. He missed 3 weeks of action. He came back, looked okay in his first start, got touched up in the second start, was looking good in the third start. And then all of a sudden he has this meniscus injury. And then he developed shoulder soreness during his rehab start. He had 2 rehab starts in AAA Iowa where he got lit up and smoked. The last one was in high A, and they couldn't touch him in high A. We have Justin McKelvey with Mets minus 114 in his pocket. Markel says maybe first 5 Mets money line. So, look, if I was going to tell you my expectations for Boyd, I don't know. Spooner thinks that Boyd's coming back too early because of the desperate need for starting pitchers for the Cubs. But I'm afraid we just continually see these pitchers coming off the IL with the non-arm related injuries shoving, just like Yuri Perez did for us yesterday. So TJ says crazy trend here for what it's worth. Teams off a doubleheader loss, and have lost at least 2 in a row in the previous are 4-15 the next game, and favorites are 1-5. Wow, that's wild. And then Spooner says, look at the dates on the rehab starts. They shut them down after the first 2. Oh yeah, you know what? That's so interesting. That's so interesting because I saw the dates there, but I guess I didn't really lock into them. Wow, that's interesting, Spoons. Very, very interesting. Thank you for that addition here. So let's talk about Freddie Peralta. Freddie Peralta's been bad this year. 4.83 ERA, 1.39 WHIP. He's got a 3.85 expected ERA. And his last start, he got absolutely annihilated. 10 earned runs over 2 2/3. That makes me want to gravitate towards backing him. Makes me want to. Turnbuckle Tommy says you have 94% of the cash on the Mets, and Circa opened the Mets at minus 120. Now they're minus 110. He says this is a Cub spot for him. We also have a soccer parlay here that I will copy and paste in 1 second, but let's go over that cash flow. 94% of cash on the Mets. Is that right? Wow. 61% of the tickets on the Cubs, 94% of cash on the Mets. Wow, that is a very important element of all this. And as Tommy's saying, this is moving towards the Cubs. Dabfen says, is Soto playing? That's another thing that Spooner was talking about. Are you going to get a Mets lineup with both Soto and Lindor in there? So let me copy and paste Robert Cherry's World Cup parlay. I find this game very difficult. On one hand, if Peralta pitches well, let's look at the line history. And let's touch on a couple more things. Both teams, the Cubs are hitting righties well, 255, 768. Mets are hitting lefties well, 267, 35. Cubs bullpen's been a problem of late, and the Mets bullpen has been really good. Now, it hasn't been really good over the last 5 days, but they've been pretty consistent. So we have this 11-cent move towards the Cubs from plus 109 to minus 102. And then in the total scenario here, we're finally moving in the right direction with this site. We've had a half-run move towards the over. So let's just take a look finally at if there's a difference first 5 full game. But this one is making me really uncomfortable to sit here and find an angle. We have the Mets minus 102 full game, first 5 minus 107. Johnny Bender says, I think these are shady line moves in both New York games. Tommy says, I think Peralta gets smoked again. I'm going to be off of this. Look, I'm off of this one. This will be the first game that I'm off. Let's hear Sharpie. He says, last 4 days, the books have ignored the past history. K percentage on 4 guys. Cole, Rodon, Boz, and Wu all went under their strikeouts. Books are fucking with Peralta's K prop here, and they're ignoring. Well, and Tops is saying, what keeps us off the under again? I have no idea what these pitchers are going to do. That's the problem. I love coming here and saying, oh, I think this is going to happen. I love having conviction in action. I don't have it here. Oh, he says off the over. Look, I'm off of this spot. TV Jones says, already bet the Cubs. Mets are so ungodly bad. Cubs can at least hit right now, and Mets are in a next level spiral. 6 errors. Did you see those errors? They were horrible. They were your Little League. If those errors happen in Little League, you're very upset with the team. Let's roll on. I'm off. 7:10 p.m. Eastern, New York Yankees at Boston Red Sox, Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. It's funny when Scooball and Weathers are pitching against each other. I'm astonished at the Scooball line. I'm beside myself. Yankees have to be bet. Here it opens up at minus 130, and it didn't concern me. And it's my belief in Connolly early, I guess, because Spoons was right. He's like, isn't that a pretty low line for the Yankees? And he's right. Oh, I know, TJ. That one stung. He's right. He's right. So let's talk about. Now, I moved on this. Maybe I fell for it, but I moved. And that 30-cent difference in the first three under in the Yankees Red Sox game and the Jays game is something that I want to bet into, which would mean I would be on the first three under two here in this one. So let's roll. Fenway Park, Boston, Massachusetts. Let's get into the weather here. We have plus 11% runs, minus 2% homers, plus 25% doubles and triples, plus 4% singles. We have Cam Schlittler on the bump, 8-3, 1.71 ERA, 0.89 WHIP, 2.78 expected ERA. And the more I sat with what Spooner said about how could the Yankees be so cheap, I'm concerned. But I wasn't when I first saw it. So I've got to stick with it. And that's because I really like Connolly early. But again, I digress. We have Jerry Davis for Schlittler for the win at plus 105. Plus 105. And our guy Nunya saying, sending prayers for anyone in the pub sports family that may be going through a rut or have illness in the family. Keep your chins up and keep moving forward, boys. From our guy Nunya business here. Okay, so we have Schlittler. He had one hiccup. June 2nd. 9-4 loss at home versus the Orioles. Difficult to explain. Inexplicable, you could say. 4 runs over 4 1/3. Every other start, he's been very good. And this last start versus the Reds at home was unbelievably good. Now we know he's a Boston native, and this is a big, big opportunity for him. He delivered versus the Red Sox on June 7th. 5 2/3, 1 earned run, 5 Ks, 1 walk, and a 6-1 win at home over the Red Sox. And he pitched phenomenally well at Boston on April 23rd. 8 innings, 1 earned run, 5 Ks, 1 walk. Going up against Connolly early, 3.64 ERA, 1.27 WHIP's got 4.39 expected ERA. Connolly early looked phenomenal when he came up last year. It was just 19 in the third, but he struck out 29 and walked 4, and we got an idea of who he was. And we're seeing it here. He's not nearly as dominant, but we are seeing it here. Turnbuckle Tommy says that the Yankees have 46 plate appearances with a 159 average and a 423 OPS. First, Connolly early. Connolly early got touched up a couple times over the last 4 starts. Those are really the only times that he's been touched up all year. If you go back all the way to March 29th, he's been really, really good. But June 2nd, he allowed 4 runs over 5 1/3 at home versus the Orioles. And then June 14th, he allowed 6 runs over 4 2/3 and again at home. And look at his home ERA, 4.82. He's just not pitching very well at Fenway. Spooner says Schlittler is going to face innings restrictions at some point, maybe to roll him back in pitches before the break. And WY says this price for the Yankees at Fenway says a lot. We have 2 bullpens pitching well. Red Sox bullpen pitching not as well lately. 3.71 ERA, 1.21 WHIP. But the Yankees bullpen continue to deliver. 3.07 ERA, 1.16 WHIP. Robert Franklin says no concerns about Boston leaving Colorado. Yes, we talked about last night. Nobody likes that. I don't like that. Chris Warren says Green Monster, that early is susceptible to right-handed bats with the Green Monster. And then when we get to the stats, the Yankees continue to hit without Judge in the lineup. And 282, 773 OPS versus lefties. Yankees are not hitting and getting worse and worse by the day. Now, look, the Yankees numbers are starting to drop. I mean, regression we talk about waits for no man. And TJ says this price is easy to explain. Shows early shoves. Yeah, the opening line price. Now let's see what's gone on with this price. First off, let's talk about this total. It opened up 8.5 juice to the over. Now it's an 8 juice to the under. And then let's get to the money line here. We have minus 142. Oh no. So we've had big buyback. Damn it. This one opened up at minus 130, went to minus 154. Now it's minus 142. So this is exactly what TJ is saying. And the 30-cent difference between the first 3 and 2.5 in this game and in the Jays game is it's screaming at us. It's screaming at us. So the first 3 under should be bet. Now let's take a look at the bullpen usage for both squads and decide whether the full game under should be bet as well. And let's also take a look at the cash flow here. For the cash flow in this Yankees spot, we have 76% of tickets, 92% of cash on the Yankees. 63% of tickets on the over and 53% of cash on the under. And when we get to this expected bullpen here, let's see what we're talking about. Okay, here we go. So we'll go with the let's hit the Red Sox first. Red Sox can't use Guerrero, can't use Slayton. Oh, no, I take that back. Sorry. They can't use Slayton. Just Slayton's gone back to back. So Red Sox bullpen's pretty much ready to rock. Yankees bullpen, no Bednar, no Cruz, but everybody else should be good to go. Now that's, hurts not having those guys. And odds, Sharpie saying, if Yankees hit Rosario like they did for Skubal, I will be looking at backing early strikeouts versus terrible zone contact of the Yankees. TJ's on the under 8.5. We're not going to be able to get that. But I'm not going to be able to get the 8.5. So I guess I expect to pay for the 8. And then I'm with Warbucks on this first 3 under. So I'm on the Yankees first 5 -1/2 and full game -1. If this was last year and we were doing Captain Baseball for 3 hours and I wasn't moving before, I was letting the market, marinate, I wouldn't bet the Yankees. The Red Sox are 12-25 at home. The Yankees are 25-16 on the road. Yeah, I'm going to do TJ. And we have Justin McKelvey on the Yankees run line. So I'm on the Yankees first 5 -1/2, full game -1. I'm adding the first 3 under 2 and the full game under as well. I'm not buying off or anything like that. All right, let's roll on. The last spot on the board. Arizona Diamondbacks, St. Louis Cardinals. We're at Busch Stadium, St. Louis, Missouri, where the Cardinals are 22-18 at home. Diamondbacks 16-22 on the road. Yeah. Sorry, Dougie Wise. We didn't, as we talked. We capped this game together last night, you and I, on the show, and I'm going to be on the. I'm adding. These are bets I haven't made yet. I'm going to be on the Texas Rangers first 5 +1/2, and I'll be on the first 5 over 4. Sweetie says it is raining here. Raining, as you can see, the drops on the graphic looking good. -4% runs, -4% homers, -2% doubles, triples, +3% singles. What a job Swiggy's done with these graphics, man. Shout out to our guy Swiggy in the house on the 1s and 2s, man. So let's go over to the weather here in St. Louis. Let's see how much work we should even put into this game. Chance to shower starts up at 1. This game is at 7:45, but that's 6:45 local. Or no, it's not. Is it? Fuck, I'm tripping. We have light rain at 7, light rain at 10. Light rain all the way throughout, but 25% precipitation, 20% precipitation. I think this game goes. I think we need to work on it. Warbucks on St. Louis money line in the under 9 here. And also Sharpie, just to add, says, no, I'm not on Toronto, Lex. Sharpie says, when I looked at the lineup of the Yankees who got to early this year, no Grisham, Grichuk, Judge, or Stanton says a different team right now. That's important. Dad Fence says, what happened to Zach Gallen? He's got to be a fade. He's looked really bad. 6.10 ERA, 1.63 whip. He didn't look good last year, and he looks even worse this year. 5.69 expected ERA. The guy's just getting lit up and smoked. Now, at home versus the Twins got to him for 9 runs over 4 innings. Twins are hitting everything right now. And then we have June 14th, 3 runs over 6 innings. When we had initially broken down the weather at Busch Stadium, it was supposed to be more run suppressing than it is. It's actually becoming more offensive as the day goes on. Then we have Michael McGreevy, 3.35 ERA, 1.15 whip. He's got a 5.70 expected ERA, which is sort of being the elephant in the room for him. And now he's starting to get hit. 5 earned runs over 5 innings his last start at the Royals. Now we know the Royals are ripping the leather off the ball. He has now allowed, 16 runs his last 5 starts. Maybe that doesn't sound so bad. 5 starts is 27 innings. So that sounds bad. 16 runs in 27 innings sounds bad. Warbucks, I think I'll be saying that more and more and more. Anytime anybody tries to sell me something, just look right in the eye and say, I'm a simple man. Ring this up. Diamondbacks versus righties, 215, 636. But let's go into the bullpens. Both bullpens are struggling right now. Both bullpens are not to be trusted. Diamondbacks bullpen, which I've loved all year, is not looking good. 4.47 ERA, 1.42 whip. Cards bullpen, 4.35 ERA, 1.34 whip. And then the Diamondbacks just aren't hitting righties. They're not hitting righties, which should help McGreevy a lot. The Cards are hitting righties hard, and they're a fun team. They manufacture runs. They're a fun team to cap and to watch. And I'm sure St. Louis baseball fans are enjoying the hustle from the squad. This line opened up minus 130. It's now minus 129. No movement. And from a total scenario here, we have a half-run move to the over from 8.5 to 9. And when we get to the cash flow, we have 59% of the tickets on the under, but 87% cash on the over. That's really interesting. 66% of the tickets on St. Louis and 83% of the cash. I want to say, look, I have a kind of a feeling that Gallen can pitch okay here and get soft contact. I believe both of them can. But I don't want to be really involved in this game. I had interest in this game when the weather looked like it was going to be quite run suppressing. I'm going to be off of this one. I don't feel like I have an angle here that I can trust. I guess it feels like the market's telling us Arizona's live, but then you have to back Zach Gallen. Do you want to back Zach Gallen? So let's review all action here on a shorter MLB card. I have moved on 7 bets, and I'm about to move on more. Royals first 5 plus a half, minus 125. Honestly, I think that's probably my favorite spot on the board right now. Mariners first 5 minus a half at plus 100. Mariners full game minus 138. Giants first 5 minus a half at plus 101. Yankees first 5 minus a half minus 102. Yankees full game minus 1 at minus 118. And Nationals first 5 plus a half at plus 104. I really like my card. Again, liking your card does not mean that it's going to be a card that will cash for you. I've learned that the hard way. Let's go over, and we're going to go over all the highlighted plays of the day from our cappers in the chat here after we get through WNBA. I've got a bet on every game in WNBA and after the CFL. When we go here for additions, I'm going to be adding, so no additions in the first 3 games. That's nice. I'm going to be adding the first 3 under 2.5 in Houston, Detroit. I'm going to be adding the Rangers first 5 plus a half and the first 5 over in Rangers, Blue Jays. And then I'm going to be adding the first 3 under 2 in Yankees, Red Sox, and the full game under 8, which I'll have to pay for. TV Jones says Cardinals team total is going to be fun against Gallen. I could see, and they're again I like watching the Cardinals play. All right, there we go. That is Major League Baseball for Thursday, June 25th. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us, man. Let's roll into WNBA. It's just a sign of how we're doing that. I can, on a 4-game card, I can triple up in the spot, lose them all, and only lose 0.3 units. It was a mistake to triple up. I understand that. And it hurt me. But we swept everything else. And we're still, 37 and 27 in WNBA. I mean, it's not as gaudy as those numbers were before, but let's get this money. Let's roll. All right, we start with LA Sparks, Toronto Tempo, and the story here is injuries. You have Kelsey Plum and Brink out for the Sparks. And for the Tempo, you have Rice and Sykes out. So all the guards, all of the offense, all out here. And that is hurt these two teams. And now we saw 4 games with the Sparks without Plum. And that made me, oh my God. LaMelo Ball is a Minnesota Timberwolf? Good God. LaMelo Ball is on the Minnesota Timberwolves. LaMelo Ball and Josh Green to the Timberwolves for Naz Reid and draft picks. Ooh, we can't wait to hear what Dutch, the boys, Chappie, and Dabby have to say about that. Wow, that's just I can't even I gotta sit with that before I can wrap my head around it. Okay, so the fact that the Sparks had played, there's a couple different things here. The Sparks had played 4 games without Plum. I thought they're probably a little more comfortable with it. But what I realized was that I was wrong about the Tempo. Maybe it's Sabali helping on the boards, coming back, but I just thought they were an expansion team with no depth. And as soon as Sykes went down, the truth is that Money Mabry gets a chance to really have the ball in their hands and not watch Sykes play. I think that's a problem sometimes when Sykes is on the floor, that you just kind of sit around and watch her score. And I think I had to come to the grips with just being wrong about saying that the Tempo were a fade. So for me, I decided to move on the tempo, and I got them minus 120 on the money line. If I had come to that decision earlier, I would have got them plus 1.5. Hopefully, that's not too big of a difference. But this was not the first game that I bet here, and this is moved back towards Los Angeles. This opened up minus 125, got up to minus 130. I got minus 120. Now it's minus 112. So we see this moving towards Los Angeles as we speak. Let's get into the spread here. This is the game I'm the least confident on. Now we're down to a -1 with the tempo. This opened up at a pick 'em, but I know I could have got plus 1.5 at 365. I'm just looking at bet on lines. Then they move this to 1.5. Now it's back to a 1. So small movements. I know that Jerry Davis was looking at moving on the under. I believe he has moved on the under in this one. Opened up 180.5. Now it's 179.5. It's very difficult. Jerry Davis says last time Plum missed time sparks were a shit show. They were, but I'm trying to stay away from totals and keep everything clean. I don't know if I have an advantage in that regard, but Tempo's perimeter defense is just gross. I mean, if any team's hitting their shots, they're going to deliver here. So I'm on the Tempo money line. They're coming back from their road trip. The road trip was pretty impressive. I had faded the Tempo against Connecticut, and they beat them 101.97. And then I backed the Tempo first quarter, and they got annihilated by the Dream. And then they kept fighting, kept battling, and ended up just losing by 7. So I'm on the Toronto Tempo here to get things started. Let's roll on to the next spot on the board. 10 p.m. Eastern. We have the Dallas Wings, Las Vegas Aces. Aces just 4-3 at home. Michelob Ultra Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Of course, the big game coming up next Tuesday. And, our guy Justin McKelvey was like, the Aces are a must bet. And I was really, when he said that, I was thinking more about them losing to the Liberty and not looking very good, losing by 9 to the Liberty at home. But it wasn't that in shout out to 2-3 zone, 2-3 zone with Justin and our guy Ronnie Crawford. But what this was saying to me was, when I dug a little bit deeper, was of course it was when the Aces faced the Wings. The Aces went to Dallas. We were all on Dallas, and Dallas annihilated them by 30 points. That wasn't that long ago. The Aces remember. The Aces want to give it back to them. So I moved on to 4.5, a -115. Let's take a look at what this line history is right now. First off, this total's climbed 4 points from 174.5 to 178.5. And then on the point spread here, we have a -5. It's not really moving towards Vegas. This opened up 5, went down to 4.5, got up to 5.5. It's come back to 5. That's a little disconcerting, but I think a lot of people want to back the Wings. Let's take a look at the cash flow for both of these spots here. We didn't talk about it for the LA Toronto. The LA got 53% of the tickets, 65% of the cash, and then 57 and 62 on the under. Here with Dallas, Vegas, we have 64% of tickets and 59% cash on Vegas. Well, that makes me feel more comfortable about this line not moving. I mean, Circa's still hanging the 5.5. 82% of tickets on the over, 88% cash on the over, and this line moving quickly towards the over. Warbuck says Wings spread, Aces suck against the spread at home. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair analysis about what we've seen from the Aces at home. But I think the bigger story about the Aces is they pick and choose when they're going to step up, right? They pick and choose. And this team just beat them by 30. And we know the Aces are the big dogs. We know that. This is their league. And they like to send messages. They're coming off a loss against the Liberty, and they're coming off losing by 30. By 30. They've lost both their games towards Dallas. So, Warbucks, you're going to sit here saying the Aces are going to lose 3 straight games to the Dallas Wings? Jerry Davis says 3.5 outplay Aces, 5.5 has me leading Wings. Look, I don't need much analysis. I don't need much thought. You think the Aces are going to lose 3 straight times to Beckers and Fudd without sending them a message? I don't. I think they send them a fucking message. And that's what this team does. So, I mean, look at, they've only lost by 30 plus points one other time this year. And they annihilated in their next game. Now, that was against LA. When they lost by 30 to Dallas. They went into Phoenix and beat them by double digits. Deacon Mike in the house. What up, Deacon? We've missed you, man. Great to see you. Anytime we don't see you for a few weeks, we start getting concerned about that dirt nap that we don't want you to take. We don't want you to take. We all need more Deacon in our lives. So you have to just check in just to let us know that all is good. You're just on the highway picking up cans. Just let us know that, Deacon, so we can rest easy at night. It's easier to sleep in the black and knowing that Deacon Mike is well. AM says Aces by 10. Let's talk about the final spot on the board here, Liberty Storm. And this here, Liberty Storm, is Stacks play of the day, numero 2. Numero 2. A little French. There's a little French for you. Duh. Stacks, 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 stacks. And Slow Jam says this could be double up cash cow spot. And thank you. And Dirt Nap is all Deacon. Deacon's the one that brought the Dirt Nap reference to the table. That reference, Dirt Nap, is all Deacon. He is the author of that. Let's talk Liberty Storm here. Liberty coming off beating Vegas in the precursor to the Commissioner's Cup. And the Storm are playing really well at home right now. They almost beat the Wings. I know they're in the throes of this horrible losing streak. They're 3-15 and 2-7 at home, but their last games at home have all been nice. Almost beat Dallas, almost beat the Valkyries, almost. Look, there's a lot of almost. And and I'm on the Storm, plus 12.5. I really like the spot. I think the Storm play hard. And look, the Liberty are always capable of stepping up and smashing, but really, and I believe they fly to San Francisco right after the game. Not after the game, but tomorrow. And then they play the Valkyries and then head home for the Commissioner's Cup. I think the Valkyries are going to be a real appealing bet as well here, depending on what happens here tonight. So we have 62% of the tickets on the Liberty and 89% of the cash on the Storm. And we see 11.5 at some books. Circus still hanging at 12. And when we get here to the offshores, still it's just all 11.5 to the pick'em here. And then the great Toby Lane is his play of the day here. His play of the day is Storm money line. Just big balls dangling in toilet water. All three games, all three bets. Tempo money line. Aces minus 4.5. Storm plus 12.5. Let's go to the Canadian Football League for our final spot on the board. We are 30 minutes away from the daily sesh with Dutch Boy Fresh, Dabby Cab, and Chappie Funkadelic. 8:30 p.m. Eastern with the Edmonton Elks 2-0, 1-0 on the road. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers 1-1, 0-1 at home at Princess Auto Stadium in Winnipeg, Manitoba. It's a really, really interesting game here. Let's take another look at Winnipeg weather. It changes quickly, and they have the summer storms. And now it looks beautiful. Interesting. Okay, no more summer storms. It's just going to be a gorgeous night. I guess that's partly part of the reason why this total is being moving continuously to the over. Also, I thought it depending on where you bet it. You could say that totals this year are 9-0-1 or 9-1. The only one game has slipped under the total. AM on the Blue Bombers -3 at -110. The Elks coming off very impressive 32-29 win at home over the Alouettes, and they hand Davis Alexander's first ever regular season loss. And Winnipeg comes in off a bye week. So we have the Elks on a short week and Winnipeg off a bye week. The thing, though, that I couldn't get past, and that's why I did move on to 3.5 -105, is that the Elks feel really good about themselves. And when was the last time you said that? Was it when Warren Moon was the quarterback? This team has been losing and losing and losing. And Edmonton was once called the City of Champions. Now they still call themselves that. We don't know exactly why. And they're just excited to play football right now. And the Fajardo Rankin 1-2 is delivering. Rankin, so the question is, obviously AM has a belief in Mike O'Shea. because that's how you would get to the Bombers. You'd have a belief in Mike O'Shea, and they're in a great spot for a football team, right? You lose at home 37-27 to the Ticats. You have the bye week, and then you play again at home. You win your first game, show your ability or the weakness of the Stamps, and then you'll lose to a Ticat team that looks dynamite. Bye week, and you play again. So obviously there's a rest advantage here. What the hell were they talking about during their... You too, Michael Piccioni, my man. You have a great day, and thank you for starting it with us, my man. Thank you for starting it with the morning bag. So the problem with Winnipeg is they're allowing teams to run the ball down their dirty throat. Calgary and Hamilton each rushed for 171 yards against the Bombers. So we've had 100-yard running backs in back-to-back games against the Bombers. That's the first time that's happened since weeks 14, 15, and 2024. This was a defense that ranked third in rushing yards allowed last year at 94.1, and right now they're averaging 171. So the idea is that O'Shea would have been working on this through the bye week, figuring out what the hell's wrong with this defense, because Collaros is doing the job. 28 of 35 for 421 yards and 2 touchdowns, Dembski and Pokey getting it. And I thought, if you had told me Collaros went 28 of 35 for 421 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, I'd say, well, how much did they win by? But they lost by 10. They lost pretty soundly to the Ticats. Shout out to Ronnie Crawford, who was on the Ticats in that spot. Justin Rankin is leading the league right now in rushing yards at 281. He's a beast. And thank you, Deacon. Thank you. Yes, I will tell my daughter who made this. It's all that's left. She made this for me about like a little over a year ago. There was more on it, but they broke, and there's all that's left. But I'll be sure to tell her, Deacon. Be sure to tell her. I say, my friend Deacon Mike thinks this is a version of an ankle bracelet that I should be wearing if I was in prison. Ella, what do you think of that? And what do you think of Deacon Mike? And then I'll get her. She's such a sweet, kind, inclusive person. She still won't say anything negative about you, which is a problem. What do I have to say to get my daughter to say something horrible about Deacon Mike? It's impossible. I've never heard her say a bad thing about anybody in my life. So maybe I'll just keep this story between us, Deacon. How about that? How about just keep this between us? So let's talk about this line history here. We've had the 3.5 to a 3. The longer I've sat with this game, and I do believe in O'Shea, that I'm a little nervous about the spot. In fact, if there's a plus, if this is ever a plus 3.5 for the Bombers, I'm going to jump at it live. And we have this total climbing. And now that there's no storm, there's supposed to be a storm mid-game. So this is 54.5 up to 56. And come on, man. These totals are fucking insane. And so I said this last week, and I took a bath. It did not help Father's Day weekend, taking a bath in CFL. So, look, I have to bet the unders here. And it's just this sick feeling that I have to bet it. That I can't, Now, the idea being, you got Brady Oliveira on one side, you got Josh Rankin on the other side. They're going to be running the ball and tick, tick, tickety, tick, tick, tick. Jerry Davis says, let's go first half under. Oh, God. I mean, watching these games has been fucking hell for an under better. But I have to do it. I have to bet the first half under and the full game under. This season could get away from me. We've had back-to-back best seasons I've ever had in CFL, and now I'm sitting here 4-12. If we come back here and this 70 points are scored tomorrow, I'm gonna fucking lose it. I'm gonna lose it, and I'm gonna try to get Ella to say something horrible about Deacon Mike. Again, I've never heard her say anything bad about anybody in my life. Carter, on the other hand, he's ready to fight you, Deacon. Carter will say horrible things about you, drop of a hat. Yeah, Nuke saying only one game's going on this season. It's just ridiculous. All right, that is our show for today, Thursday, June 25th. Let's talk about plays of the day. Justin McKelvey, Schmidt over 1.5 bases at plus 120, Storm plus 12.5 minus 115. Nicholas Handy on the Tigers money line. Billy Friedrich, pig milk play of the day is in. The pig milk play of the day is Xavier Villeneuve under 31.5 draft position. This is available at Bookmaker. Xavier Villeneuve under 31.5 draft position at plus 108. Dougie Wise, free bands play today is the New York Yankees minus 154. New York Yankees minus 154. We have an SGP for top set KC first 5 plus 1.5. And full game team total under 4.5. That is at plus 145. Then he has Seattle minus 1, and that's first 5 team total over 1.5. Gamma Ray play the day from the Nukester. Winnipeg Blue Bombers minus 1.5. First half minus 1.5, minus 110. 9 Legacy flank stake play today is the Astros money line. It's also on tempo money line, and the Wings plus 5.5. And Gambler's first glance is in as well. Gambler's first glance is the Houston Astros money line. And the Dinger of the day. Dinger of the day is Cubs Mets over 2.5 homers. Cubbies Mets over 2.5 homers for Deacon Mike. Shout out to all you guys for joining us. Thank you so much for supporting us here at the Morning Bag. If you could leave a comment with a best bet, it helps the algorithms, and hit the like to support would mean a ton to us. Thank you guys so much for your support. We're trying to build the numbers here. And with the job that Swiggy's doing on the graphics, I really love what the show is doing here. So shout out to Swiggy on the 1s and 2s, Deacon Mike, Jerry Davis, Light Cheese, Jose Perez, the Nuke Worker, AM, Spooner, Colin, Gregory, Slow Jams, Arsenal, Michael Piccioni. Thank you guys so much. Jerry Davis, War Bucks, Turnbuckle, Tommy, Rob Free, always making moves, Chris Warren, Lex Steele. Thank you guys. Dad Fan, Geo Bed, Sharpie rocking with us, TJ. Thank you guys so much. On behalf of all of us at Pub Sports Radio, let's just keep doing exactly what we are doing. We don't get to say that enough. We're seeing the board clearly. We are winning. Let's keep this going. You get out of life what you put into it. We're putting in the work. So let's get this fucking money, man. Leche! Hey, los bookmakers. No, shit.
It's easier to sleep in the black when you're losing your ass and feeling so. You know what to do. Tune in to Pub Sports Radio. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's a roller coaster ride. You're gonna catch a bad beat. No problem, keep your head up and just bet the spreadsheet. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. All thanks to Jeff Slaughter, these shows have our backs. POD's always rolling, especially the stats. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. We got Jimmy, Jose, Debbie and the fam, Dutch Wine Time, Spooner and OG Wham. So hit the like button, don't say that you can't. If you know what's best, just put your money on tape.